Back. Thank you for joining us again on Cool Digest Tuesday as we discuss the Adamawa crisis and, of course, the incessant Boko Haram attacks. Just yesterday, another bomb blast rocked in Potiskum in Yobe State, and it's been amazing how much of these things happen even in the light of what the federal government has termed a ceasefire with the Boko Haram. Now, we were in Borno State yesterday and we spoke with the Deputy Governor, Zana Mustafa, who has now warned that if the federal government does not take urgent steps to check the spread of insurgency in that area, that the three states presently being affected now will cease to exist in no distant time. Very shocking statement there. Mustafa issued the warning when he paid a courtesy call on the governor of Adamawa State. Of course, Bala Ngilari North had something to say. Let's hear from these two people and we'll be back with more. Stick around.
Part of how local government is in their hand, part of the local government is in their hand. In Borno Central, we have lost Kwandiga, half of Kwandiga, complete Bama, Mafa, Dukwa, Kalabalgi, Ngala. That's about 6 out of the 8 local government in the central district of Borno State. In the north, we have Abadam local government in their hand. We have Marte in their hand. We have part of Kaga local government Benishek, the only way leading to Maiduguri now. Then we have Manguno and Kukau, both in the hands of the terrorists. Your Excellency will agree with me that we are in serious trouble.
Hand a new leaf. It's not enough to say, oh, who cares, it's the government, it's the business of government. This thing transcends politics. In the business of security, there is no partisanship. We either sell or sink together. I mean, it's a tragedy to say so many local governments are under siege. And we are facing exactly, we are just 2 steps behind your experience. We're going through it and it's not been easy. So, but we remain faithful, we remain trustful that God Almighty, who made and created us in His own image, will intervene.
Adamawa State Governor James Iglari there, as well as also his Deputy Governor Zana Mustafa. Zana Mustafa said earlier that 6 out of the 8 local governments in the central district of Adamawa are presently under the siege of the Boko Haram sect. Quite a number of local governments in that area being captured day by day. Interestingly, we also told you yesterday about Bama, or not just Bama, but then the hometown of the Chief of Defense Staff, also presently under the siege of the Boko Haram. Will either sail or sink together. That's what James Iglari had to say. I'm joined now by Dikwo Olayokun, a public affairs analyst, joining us in our live studio here in Lagos. Good morning, Dikwo. Thank you for finding time to join us again.
Yes, good morning. Then viewers at home, good morning.
Does it amaze you about the Boko Haram attack in Yobe State yesterday?
No. If you are a keen observer of events in Nigeria, especially in the past few years, I don't think anything will surprise you in this country. We have become a nation of anything goes. And it's like Nigerians have got used to whatever happens, we just see it. It's one of those things. This issue, is it a mere coincidence that the Chief of Defense Staff that came on board, and the very first thing he told Nigerians was that by April 2014, the issue of Boko Haram will have become a thing of the past. And immediately after he said that, we saw an escalation in the activities of Boko Haram. We saw what I would term successful operations of the Boko Haram, capturing various centers in Nigeria. Interestingly, just about 2 or 3 weeks ago, it is this same CDS that announced to Nigeria gleefully that at long last they have secured a ceasefire agreement with Boko Haram. I don't you think there's something more spiritual about this thing? Because the issue of Boko Haram, until we divorce politics from governance, these countries will continue to make headways and breakthrough as far as Nigeria is concerned. As a matter of fact, we were somewhere discussing, and someone just jokingly said when they refer to President Goodluck Jonathan as the president of Nigeria, that there's a need for us to make a distinction between the Nigeria he inherited in 2010 or 2009 and the Nigeria of today. Because some chunk of that territory has now been annexed by the Boko Haram guys.
You made mention of the...
To the extent that they even hoist their flag and have their own administration and even name their state after something. That means Nigeria is no more the Nigeria of 2010 or 2011. A large part of it now belongs to the terrorists. But, you know, some years back when we were hearing stories of things like this in other lands, like when you heard of terrorist group taking over territories, you know what happened in the case of Gaddafi in Libya, when these guys started from a very small enclave, they started winning territories until they marched on Tripoli. And what became of the story today? Nigeria, Gaddafi has become history. And that country has known no peace since then. Then you have instances like that. We never knew that Nigeria would get to that point. Nobody.
Would you put all the blame solely at the feet of Mr. President? Because some are even calling for the resignation of the CDS because his hometown, Mubi, I believe, is presently also under the...
that's the chief of defense staff now, because they have taken over his territory. Let me tell you one thing. There's a need for us to, if you take your time to look at the constitution of Nigeria from the beginning to the end, it's just like the case of the Bible. The Bible centers around only one person, and that is our Lord Jesus Christ. From the Genesis to Revelation, there's nowhere you will not hear Jesus Christ being mentioned, whether he's coming or he's around or he has come. These are the things he has come to do. The same thing to the Constitution of Nigeria. The numero uno, as far as Nigerian Constitution is concerned, is the president. This man is so powerful, the president of Nigeria, because of the power of the artist disposal, because of the power of patronage. If Mr. President wants you, we know you are a male, wants you to become a female today, he will take the matter to the National Assembly, and before you realize it, the matter of the National Assembly will make a law that you are a female. What are the things you need to maintain security? If you look at Section 14 of the Constitution of Nigeria, very, very simple. That is the primary function of the government. Security, one, then welfare. Those who drafted the Constitution, whether we say it is imperfect or not, there are no doubt, people. These are eminent Nigerians, eminent lawyers, senior advocates of Nigeria, that they sat together, work on the document, which was taken to the then head of state, Abubakar Abu Salam. These people said the primary function of government in Section 14 is security and welfare.
Okay.
And if you're looking about security, what are the things you need to maintain security? You need the army, you need the police, you need the SSS, and other forces. Who controls these people? The president of Nigeria controls every strata of security apparatus of Nigeria. That is why they can withdraw the security of the speaker. That is why they can send policemen to go and attack governors in a government lodge when they are holding the meeting. And the police officer who went, who is just like the rank of DPO, said, I'm going to arrest you governors if you don't disperse. Governors. So that is the problem we are looking at. And we are talking about the issue of the army. The other time, they said our army made tactical maneuver into Cameroon. Only day before yesterday, what do we call the ones that they made again? Tactical maneuver. So there is a decay in the society. That is the problem. Until, just like the Bible says, it said, the kingdom of heaven is like, that you have to fight. I've forgotten the way you put it. What is that when you get the right thing, every other thing shall follow. He says, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and every other thing shall follow. It's just like Nigeria. Let me tell you one thing. The moment we fix the decay at the head, Nigeria's problem will become a thing of the past. Because what will make, that will make a CDS to announce gleefully to Nigerians that, oh, we have got a ceasefire with Boko Haram, only for us to know that it was fluke, it was fake.
Do you think at this time Nigeria should have withdrawn the ceasefire agreement with the Boko Haram?
There was never any ceasefire agreement. The man they said they killed came out there before yesterday and said that Danladi, which of people have been saying, that this Danladi is not known to them. Somebody just came, arranged some guys, or let us pretend as if we are making a ceasefire because of the president wanted to make a declaration the previous day. So there was the need to give a semblance of, oh, we have established peace now. Let us tell Nigerians that we now have a ceasefire. That's what happened. We have people that were very close to people, these guys. There's this man who was a journalist who was very close to them by virtue of the position of he was occupying, he was reporting them. This guy was even volunteered to negotiate. This guy was hounded out of Nigeria. He now relocated to Dubai. This guy came one day and said, we can still talk to these people. There's a woman they call Mama Boko Haram. I read the interview. There are some individuals that have access to these people. You don't have to be a member because you can have their sympathy. And that's exactly what is happening. This salary they discussed with, where was he coming from? Now they have not discovered that it is a fluke. But let me ask you a question. Should we even get to this crisis? About 4 weeks ago, this is the same army told us that they have killed the impostor, that the first Boko Shekau had been killed. And the impostor came, they have killed him. And they made a blunder. According to them, this man was arrested and they killed him. Somebody who is saying can do that. Whether you is an impostor or not, this is a guy you have been seeing on television, in videos, purporting to be, even not purporting, as the leader of Boko Haram. You have the opportunity of capturing this guy. Does it make sense to kill him? Don't you make sure that you treat this guy in such a way that he will become well, so that you can get information about their sponsors. You can get information about their logistics. You can get information about the people, the girls that they said they have captured. And they said they killed him. And Nigerians were jubilating. Just a military man should have been sacked. Because that guy is like a repertoire of knowledge as far as Boko Haram is concerned. They should have treasured this guy that he will not die so that they can get information. If they have kept this guy alive, the man they said they killed, that guy would have been able to provide information to them as to when next Boko Haram will strike, as to where they have their power, as to who are the people sponsoring them. But they killed him. What for?
The problems obviously are manifest and obvious for everyone to see, but how do we manage this crisis, especially as we count down to the general elections in February next year?
The only way to manage it is now. Like former President Olusegun just said, you don't just face it with military operation. This military operation itself is not yielding result. That is why you see our military men making tactical maneuver into Cameroon, under people's territory.
And recently, some people also were arrested for deserting the battlefield.
Yes, at least you cannot. When they were joining the army, they joined the army to fight a war, not to go and commit suicide. When you send guys to go and fight a war, and these guys know that the ammunition they have cannot last them, that's committing suicide. But that's not even the issue. The issue is now how do we arrest this trend? One, there's the need for us to cut the supply chain of these guys. Supply chain in terms of ammunition, supply chain in terms of personnel. These guys continue to recruit every day. That means there are lots of Nigeria that are disgruntled, that are disenchanted with Nigeria. If we can cut the supply route in terms of ammunitions, in terms of personnel, how do we mean? Those people that are being recruited, it's because they have been brainwashed to believe that Nigeria is not serving your purpose. So come and join us. But if you have patriotic Nigerians, you cannot expect me, you and I, to join Boko Haram or any insurgency for that matter. Because we still have some element of patriotism in us. We have been educated to a certain extent that even violence does not settle violence. Violence begins violence. You cannot expect me. At least OPC, there was a time OPC was reigning supreme in Nigeria or in Lagos, terrorizing people, killing, maiming. I am, as a Yoruba man, I didn't join because I didn't see any sense in what we are doing. Now they have realized that they have misused their power. There was a time we had the Bakassi boys, that it was difficult for our guys from the southeast to go home because anything could happen. Now that one has stopped. There was a time we had Niger Delta militants. Now it is the turn of the north. That means there is something that is making some Nigerians to be disgruntled. And that is the reason why there's the need for us to stop that thing that is making them to be disgruntled. And you ask yourself, where is the NOA, National Orientation Agency? Why did they start it? to make Nigerians have the feeling that we are Nigerians. Tell me, even on the street, how many Nigerians really believe they are Nigerians? If you're talking about Nigerians, people will say, oh, they are Nigeria. Because they believe Nigeria is just for certain degree, category of people in government. And that's exactly what is happening in the North. There's the need for us to reconcile Nigeria with Nigerians. Nigerians, rather, with Nigeria. A lot of Nigerians are disgruntled and not happy. And that is why you have these insurgencies, militancy in every area of our life. Then you are also talking about education. Because let me tell you one thing. What is the meaning of Boko Haram? Western education is haram. How did this thing arise? These people, they started like political talks, just like Niger Delta militants. As Ayo Dokuba once told us that before the election, that Odili, it was an allegation that nobody investigated it, and Obasanjo used them for the campaigns. But after the election, they changed their telephone now. They couldn't reach the people in government. So the ammunition that we were giving them to terrorize the opponents, they now begin to unleash terror on the people. The same thing happened in the case of Boko Haram. This same Sherry Muhammad Modu. Are you getting my point? This guy was using them as political talk.
Just a minute. Let's try to hear from one of our callers. This is Abdul. Hello, good morning, Abdul.
Okay. Yeah. Hello?
Go ahead, Abdul.
Hello, okay. Yeah, I want to greet the analyst there, and he really said a lot about happening in the Northeast. You know, I'm from the northeastern region of this country. Haram to be precise. You know, my brother, if you know what is going on in fact, like a movie, now I speak to you, movie is one of the life in that Northeast. And the economic hub of the Adamawa state. If you know what is happening in a movie, my brother, you will shed tears. It is really pathetic. They will have a government that are ready to stand up to its responsibility. And listen to the essay to the president of the College of Public Affairs, Kupe, saying the government is not ready for Boko Haram now, for this urgency. And you ask yourself, when will they be ready? Is it until the whole Northeast is being wiped out, and maybe they will now come down to the south and northwest, and tomorrow north central, and then we now say we have military. The Nigerian soldiers are capable of fighting these people. But the challenge here we have is that, just like the analyst says this, the government has refused to give the military the adequate weapon, the sophisticated weapons they need. They've been denied of that. To go there and see the kind of weapon those criminals are using, you will never expect a military man to go and withstand them. Because, what really baffles me most is this. You see all the service chiefs, especially the chief of defense staff. As I speak to you, do you know that the chief of staff cannot go to his village? He's from Mubi local government. He cannot go to his local government. And he's the chief of army staff. You know, the chief of defense staff, sorry. And now the same people have made series of promises that by so time we'll get ahead of this, this will help tomorrow, and the funniest part of it is that God phrase a word of ceasefire. The same man makes this pronouncement to the whole world that Nigerians have reached a ceasefire agreement with the same criminals. Who are they? And today we have this issue still going on. The Boko have come to deny that. So you see, people been hold, responsible to all their mistakes in this country. The same man is the chief of defense. I will talk to you. Happen if tomorrow I become chief of staff, I will just come up and cook stories and make my money and go away because the country is now take the life of its citizen and property. So that is what we keep saying, that they have failed this country. If the president sees the CNC, the commander-in-chief, if you know he is capable of governing this country, president of the country, please you should just throw up the towel.
Okay. I believe you made your point there, Abdul from Abuja. Thank you very much for your contribution. Talking about the attacks on Mubi and surrounding villages by insurgents, there are also immediate reactions to that. The recent attacks on Mubi, however, and surrounding village by insurgents have increased the number of internally displaced persons in Yola. Of course, we have a correspondent there who was able to speak with some representative of religious organizations who came up to provide commodities here and there to alleviate the suffering of the people in that particular area. We were able to catch up with the Catholic Bishop of Yola Diocese, Stephen Manza, who says more efforts still need to be done to take care of these people who are now being described as refugees in their own land. In this particular clip, we also had the recipients who thanked him and also had something to say to the federal government. Let's hear them out and we'll be back with more.
There are still so many that have not been assisted up to now. And I just want to call on government to please see how they can identify those that are really badly in need. And most of those that are in need actually are with family members and friends. Those that are at the camp, the government is doing everything possible in order to take care of them. But those that are living with their family members, that is more than 98% of the displaced people, they live with their family members and friends. So these are the people that we really need to reach out to. And based on what we are distributing today, we are distributing to all those who are living with family members and friends.
People they run har baza munchka local government, so people they suffer.
State government should go and lay our complaint to federal government so that they will go and push that insurgent out of our town so that we will go. You see, it's not only giving us food that matters, but we want to go back to our various destinations.
It's not only giving us food and shelter that matter. We want to go back to our home. Exactly. That is the cry of the heart of displaced Nigerians, displaced from Mubi and other neighboring villages who are now being camped in Yola. What do you make of all of this, Depo Olayoko?
Yes, because we are not serious about issues in the country. The present situation in Nigeria calls for serious concern. And unfortunately, people in government don't seem to see it that way. It's like they see it after some time. Because the president told us about 2 years ago that Boko Haram issue will come and go. But that is, we don't wish problems away. You confront problems holistically. Unfortunately, when this thing started, there were lots of politicking around it. Take the case of the abduction of those Chibok girls. And interestingly, when people talk about abduction, there have been so many cases of abduction before the Chibok case and even after the Chibok case. So when you are talking about 267 or 253 girls abducted, we are only giving a general figure. The people that will be in captivity under Boko Haram should be more than 500 girls. That's not the issue. For 18 days, people in government didn't believe that thing was true. They thought probably some people were trying to play some games because of 2015. Until the national community started shouting. It even took one man they call John McCain, a senator in America, who said the way he referred to the president made them to wake up. Now it's too late. The point is, apart from these internally displaced people, we have a lot of Nigerians living as refugees in neighboring countries as a result of the activities of Boko Haram. One guy called into a radio program this morning and said that he has a nephew that is living in Mubi, maybe as a youth corper or so, I can't remember. But he started calling this guy, his phone was not going. Then after about 2 or 3 days, they called him, one strange voice picked the call. But to cut the long story short, this guy had to relocate, or let me say, use the military term. He made a tactical maneuver into Cameroon. This guy presently lives in Cameroon as a refugee. And we have thousands of cases like that. And the government deliberately is suppressing this news because they don't want anything to hamper their 2015 chances. But that is more than that. Because you are in government because of the people. That is why you and I have submitted all our powers. That's what we mean by social contract. That is what we mean in government. We have submitted all our powers to them so that they can take care of certain things on our behalf. But you ask yourself, tell me, what is the government doing for you now? You do your own water for yourself, your own electricity you generate through generator. Insecurity, you tackle it either through OPC, Bakassi boys, or through the vigilante groups. Then you ask yourself, what is the essence of government? And how are we going to tell these people that have been relocated, that have been displaced? You see that lady? He said it's not the food that matters, but we want to go back home. Because there's no way, the east or west, home is the best. That's what we were told when we were growing up. And they are also with that fear that they don't know what is going to become of their homes. So I think the government needs to, if possible, put this idea of this 2015 ambition aside and let the president face the problem at hand. There is so much problem at hand. We allow this thing to fester, yes. But as we were saying initially, we can also tackle this thing. Let us make sure that these guys don't have that large pool where they can recruit the army. These people continue to recruit every day. Journalists continue to report it. At a stage, journalists became as if, they are always looking for trouble. Army started going after their newspaper publications. And the government, a civilian government, kept quiet while the military were doing this. They couldn't do it under the military regime, but they were doing it under the civilian regime, going after newspaper houses. And the government said nothing. So the journalists now report what they think, okay, is fair or safe. The real issue have not been reported. So I think the government needs to wake up. Some of these people don't know the primary responsibilities. Because if the army came out and told Nigerians that we have reached a ceasefire, and this thing proved to be a fluke, and the man is still in office, you have a man whose own local government, as the chief defense secretary, chief of defense staff, his own local government is under the territory of the terrorists, and the man is still in office. I think the government, yes, do not expect the president to be everywhere, but you have to be everywhere by appointing capable hands to discharge the responsibility that has been bestowed on you.
How do you see all of these, as we begin to round up now, how do you see all of these impact on the forthcoming general elections in 2015?
We will be deceiving ourselves if we think this thing will not have any effect. We will be living in fool's paradise, because I cannot imagine myself as a voter wanting to go out and vote when my territory is under the control of the terrorists. I cannot expect myself as a father to want my son or daughter to go and work as an ad hoc staff for INEC to conduct an election where this guy can just stroll in, wreak havoc, and go without anybody arresting them. It will be very difficult. So I think there's a need for us. How we are going to do it? We need people that are visionary. We need people that are forthright. We need people that are focused. That no, this thing, we can put a stop to this thing in the next 3 weeks or 3 months, if only we have somebody who is capable in authority.
It's an anathema. If people won't go out and vote for the fear of Boko Haram, how do we put the people who will fight Boko Haram there? That's a discussion for another day. Dipo Olayokun, thank you very much for joining us on Core Digest. And it's a wrap this hour on Core Digest Tuesday. Thank you for watching. I am Nifemi Ogutoye. God willing, I'll be back here tomorrow for another exciting edition. But in case you missed this episode, you can watch out for the repeat broadcast later tonight at 12 a.m. right here on Core TV News, Star Times channel 329. If you cannot make that happen, all you need to do is go to www.youtube.com/Core TV, leave a space and news, and it's trended there if you care to check. Stick around, don't go away. We'll be back with the top of the hour news just in a moment.
Core TV News, expanding your view.